Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Virtual Festival. I'm just gonna get rid of these just for 1 second as we get ready to start this lovely little evening thing. I just thought I'd pop on. I'm recording a little video for YouTube, so yeah. So we got a couple of things coming up. I've got arranged a look to the archive. We've just got a couple of things I thought I'd have a look at, and we do. So just having a look at my phone here. As you can see me in the background. Wave hello. Yeah, we're going to start really nicely with the Hawker Hurricane doing a solo display, which is then going to be followed by the Gloucester Meteors. Two things I've been wanting to show for a while, but just haven't shown. So let's jump right into having a look at the Hawker Hurricane. Can't find the button, hold on. Here is the Hawker Hurricane.
Who nowadays keeps it with the Aircraft Restoration Company at Duxford, operating it under the banner of Hurricane Heritage.
Here you go.
And here it is, Hurricane R4118, to open the display. always such a stirring sight. Hurricane 1, R4118 from Hurricane Heritage at Duxford. They also now operate the world's only two-seat Hurricane, in which passenger rides are offered both by Aerial Collective at Duxford and by Ultimate Aerobatics at White Waltham in Berkshire. It's an outstanding conversion, that aeroplane, of the ex-Peter Teichmann Hurry bomber. And providing a worldwide unique flight opportunity, because there is no other two-place example of this great Hawker fighter in existence anywhere in the world. As you can see, having flown in direct from base, the Hurricane is now setting up for landing. It'll be spending a few hours with us on static display before heading back off points further east later in the afternoon. So a rather unexpected beginning to the programme, thanks to the Hurricane being early, and we're still sorting out a small snag with the
Now, the Hawker Hurricane is a brilliant, old, lovely little fighter there. And like I said, it was really unsung by the Spitfire, because Spitfire's Spitfire in it. So anyway, we're gonna move on now to get a little bit more forward, as we're gonna have a look at the Gloucester Meteor. Now, this was Britain's first operational jet fighter, and its first flight was 1943. I'm definitely not looking at notes on my phone, not at all. No. Wouldn't do a thing. So yes, this is the Gloucester Meteor NF-11. So it has slight technical malfunction, but here we are. Here comes the Gloucester Meteor NF-11.
He is called running in, and here he comes from the left, the Meteor NF-11. There is a really splendid sight, the long nose on this Meteor, denoting the fact that it carries quite a large radar in its nose for its purpose as a night fighter. It was in July 1944 that the Meteor Mark I became the Royal Air Force's first operational jet type. And that wasn't the only first. The Meteor launched out
The Meteor was designed to intercept the fighters. Although the jet Meteor was able to order construction of
joined an evaluation unit, non-operational squadron. The first prototype was powered by the No.2 engine designed by the great Frank Whittle and built by Rover. The early operational Meteors were powered by the Rolls-Royce downed 13 of those before the war was over. It was with the Mark III that the power plant switched to the Rolls-Royce turbine, and that remained standard throughout the rest of the Meteor's life. The NS11 that we see here was first flown in 1951. It has two Rolls-Royce turbine 8 turbojets of 3,700 pounds of thrust each. But as subsequent development of the Meteor added extra weight to the design, the engine didn't have increased performance.
You know where that Puma helicopter was? We were just
We'll do some sort of podcast for all the chats out in this. But let's just try and listen to that beautiful Gloucester Meteor. Obviously they really enjoyed the typhoon in this clip.
It could have been a mile up.
I'm going to cut it ever so short just there because of all the chatter in the background. Now, I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, no, that was the Gloucester Meteor. Now we're going to move on ever so slightly, ever so quickly, as we go and find a lovely new aircraft. We're going to stay with the jet power ever so slightly, but we're going to move from the Royal Air Force to the Royal Navy now, as we get ready to go and have a look at the beautiful, the wonderful, it's the Sea Vixen. It's one of my favourite jets. I used to love going to watch it. Yeah, no, so we're going to go and watch the Sea Vixen.
Aviation. And here it is on the roll.
The Sea Vixen came screaming over the airfield near the speed of sound, which back then was pretty fantastic. It's flown by John Derry. Unfortunately, as we watched, it broke up in midair and crashed into the runway. A number of people who were watching, spectators, were killed. And I do remember seeing the Hawker Hunter sitting quite close to me, and the man at the controls was staring out at his friend dying. And he said to me later, if I hadn't put the throttle forward then, I would never have done it. But he did push the throttle forward and he gave us the full display in the Hunter. And then it was the redeveloped and then changed and became this extraordinary creature we see before us, the Sea Vixen.
Well, thank you, Freddie. That was a memorable day indeed, tragic. But as you say, the aircraft came on a long way, first to become the Sea Vixen Mark I, flying from carriers in the late 50s, early 60s, and then to the Mark II, which is this variant. And this particular aircraft, XP924, first flew in 1963. Now Simon's just bringing her in from the crowd centre, approaching us and pulling up to show off that beautiful plan form. Do a wing over to reposition. I won't try and talk over those two Avon engines. And Simon will now reposition for, I believe this first pass will be a belly pass for your photography. Now Freddie, you learned to fly when you were 17, gained your pilot's wings, and you were flying sea vampires, I understand, at the age of 19. Vampires, sea vampires.
That's why I'm very privileged to be here because my uniform was much, much paler than the Navy uniform. And so, yeah, there was a friendly rivalry there between Air Force and Fleet Air Arms. And it was very
Well, as an ex-Commodore Joint Force Harrier, I agree with that. We're partners with the Air Force and will be for the F-35 in the future. And at the moment, the Royal Navy has got F-18 pilots for keeping their hand in at carrier operations for when that starts. And of course, an F-35, or 3 F-35s are in the country, and we'll be at Farnborough in a couple of weeks' time to show off that fantastic new aeroplane. Not the end of the story, no doubt, but a further part of the story of Navy wings. Now Simon will be repositioning for a top pass, again for the photography, and he's doing a great job. We're lucky with the weather, and it should be beautiful for those photographs with just enough cloud in the background to really see the plan form. Here he comes. Now Freddie, did you have any memorable experiences of flying the Sea or the Vampire?
well, it was rather an odd aircraft because it was de Havilland, and it was very small.
Armed with
In fact, it was the only jet we ever sent airborne that had no ejector seat.
The service highlights
And so it was a sardonic remark made in the Air Force about the Vampire, which is that you can fly in it or die in it. Because once, if you got into bad trouble, you could jettison the canopy, but you couldn't get out. The slipstream would shove the pilot back in. So he'd stay pinned in his seat until he hit Mother Earth. So it was a sobering thought.
It's wonderful to have you sitting with us today.
The other aircraft in those days, like with the Meteor, 2 engines and much bigger, that could take the Havilland, the Martin Baker Mark.
Put the undercarriage down, and she'll do a 360, just to really show off that beautiful shape, and also here those 2 engines. Well, it must be fabulous to see the successor to the Vampire, this wonderful airplane flying out here today. What sort of memories does that, or feelings does that give you?
Well, memory lane again, nostalgia, because I remember it as a prototype. One of that very small family of twin boom aircraft, Vampire and Venom, Sea Venom, and then of course the successor to the Sea Venom, this one, the Sea Vixen.
And of course it was Sea Vampire that Winkle Brown did his first ever jet deck landing on an aircraft carrier. It was quite a wonderful one. heads up. I've learned not to try and talk over it. Both engines develop about 11,000 pounds of thrust. The aircraft in service used to climb to altitude 45,000 feet and shut down an engine to save fuel. But indeed, the aircraft can do 500 knots on one engine at low altitude. We've got plenty of thrust at 50 odd knots. Once we position, we're going to do something slightly different, and the Sea Vixen comes into land. I just wanted to mention one other person, and that is the benefactor of this aircraft. Julian Jones is here with us today, and actually it's Julian's birthday, so happy birthday, Julian. Now we better scoot off. The aircraft's coming in order to position ourselves when he taxis in, so I'll hand you back to Ben.
Well, thank you very much, Bill, and thank you very much also to Frederick Forsyth, and above all, thanks to all the supporters, benefactors and so forth of the Fly Navy Heritage Trust, who have done so much to keep this and other naval heritage aircraft in the air for us to enjoy. As Bill said, we'll be seeing the Sea Vixen taxiing in at Crowd Centre. Also less than ideal for carrier operations. The fact that the first two marks of Seafire didn't have folding wings, but that changed with the one we see here, the Seafire 3, which was the most numerous mark, and there's a very strong local connection quite apart from the Fleet Air Arm, because most of them were built by the Westland Company. Seafire 3s like this were used extensively in the Far Eastern and Pacific campaigns, and it was a Mark III from 887 Squadron on HMS Indefatigable, flown by Sub-Lieutenant Jerry Spud Murphy on a mission to provide cover for Fleet Air Arm Grumman Avenger and Fairey Firefly strike aircraft that were attacking a Japanese airfield. Scored the last enemy aircraft kills of the whole of World War II when it downed a pair of Mitsubishi A6M Zeros on the 15th of August 1945. Air support for the landings in Rangoon and Malaya.
Now that was the de Havilland Sea Vixen, shortly followed by the Seafire, which is a little snippet there. We saw a little bit of it. So yeah. Hope you like the new overlay. It's very simple. I'm going to add to it. It's just something I'm testing out. I want to put some new things out there. I want to say a very big thank you to those of you looking at our shorts on YouTube. So go and visit us at YouTube, which is at Virtual Air Festival. And yeah, I put a new short up of an old video, and it's reached nearly 1,000 views, and I only put it up about 5 hours ago, which for a very small channel in my head is very, very good. So it's really nice to see that, so thank you. Right, we're going to move on to our fourth and final piece for this evening, as we nearly hit the half an hour mark. We've seen the Hawker Hurricane, one of the first fighters, the Meteor, Gloucester Meteor, first jet fighter, Sea Vixen, one of the last early jets for the Navy, doing bombers and missiles, and now we're going to go up to modern day. Haven't guessed already. We're going to go and have a look at the Typhoon. Hopefully I'll press the right button, and if I don't, I do apologise. We're going to go and have a look at the Eurofighter Typhoon FGR4.
some interview, stuff like that, and hopefully you get picked for it.
And coming in from the left-hand side now, please welcome Turbo in the mighty Typhoon. And that's the way to arrive at an air show, and I'm sure he'll leave in similar style as well. Well, if you look underneath the wings when you get time, you don't get much time to talk about it in this, then you'll see the hard points with the ASRAM, the AMRAM, the Storm Shadow, the Brimstone, the Paveway, Liza guided bombs, and of course the 27mm Moser cannon. Oh, going very freestyle, as they like to say, carefree handling in this machine. Now he's got a little assistant on board, a digital lady, I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if there's certain things that he's not meant to be doing or he's a little bit low, he'll have a little lady just saying in his ear, low terrain, a little bit low. So we got someone keeping a safe eye on him.
I've heard pilots refer to her as Barking Betty. And of course, you're regularly seeing up the jet pipe of 40,000 pounds of thrust from those two EJ200 turbofans at the same time as he maneuvers this through an incredibly small area of airspace.
Now, I was going to do what's called turbo top like I had before last week. However, I think George Baker
Going
does
through a
it
barrel
better
roll
than I
out
do,
on
so
the
I'm gonna do
45.
beforehand, so yeah.
Setting the jet up now, just coming in tight. The G piling on, of course, and now really excessive use of G in such a small area. Up to 9G, that's 9 times your body weight. Now, what's your particular specialism on this aircraft? You all have different talents, don't you?
Yeah, so my work that I tend to do day to day, I work as a weapons technician, so looking after the ejection seats and the weapon systems upon this mighty fine aircraft.
Indeed, and this would be one of the latest generation ejector seats as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so this is the Mark 16A. Awesome piece of kit made by Martin Baker, and thankfully we haven't had to use it yet on a British Typhoon.
Yeah. Well, of course, one of their capabilities every day, whilst they give up their time at weekends to let us enjoy these extraordinary aircraft. Of course, let's not forget that he has daytime duties training other pilots and, of course, being on QRA as well. That's Quick Reaction Alert. Now, the great thing with this jet is that not only can you fly very fast, but you can fly very slow, and you'll see a little bit at the moment. But right now, here's a great example of a slow roll. Now, that is quite an art form for any pilot. Even more difficult, perhaps, in a machine of this weight and this power, to be able to do that absolutely accurately and keeping the jet going straight down the display line. Now you can hear the throttles coming off a little bit, going into a very slow barrel. And then with the throttles right back, you notice how incredibly quiet this has become, but he's still flying at about 110, 120 knots with a stick back towards him, and in a high profile, high alpha we call this, just before it's basically the angle of the aircraft where it's still flying, but it's close to the upper angle of attack before it would fall out of the sky. Of course, the little computer on board would never let him do that, but the little canards at the front there, if you've got your high-profile photographic lenses and binaries, you'll see them twitching away because they are just keeping the aircraft under full control. Very shortly now, he's going to push the throttles. There we go. Back into full reheat.
So, Spain. And it entered RAF service in 2003, replacing the Tornado F3. The UK variant is the Typhoon FGR4, which is F for fighter, G for ground and R for reconnaissance.
Oh, I can see feel the smile on his face is doing that. Presumably at the end of this, all you guys have got to rush back to the airfield and start refueling it, checking all the equipment, yeah?
Yeah, so the guys back at the working out of Southend this weekend, they'll be giving it a good service, a good look over once he's landed.
Yeah, okay, but you've got a spare?
We do have a spare.
Ah, that's great. We saw you Thursday actually beating up the area. Oh, look at this magnificent stuff. He's going to push away from here now, and the G will really, really affect him. That's another nosebleed turn that he put in there, and absolutely outstanding stuff. Now, you can do a lot to protect yourself and mitigate against positive G, but you cannot do anything about negative G. It's a very hard thing. You just have to get used to it and endure it.
It's fully multi-role for air.
So I say a lot of physical fitness training goes into it, plus the mitigation. He's got chest piece, leg piece, even the socks help a little bit as well.
The Eurofighter Typhoon has a top speed of Mach 2, which is approximately 1,550 miles per hour. Has a service ceiling of 500
Put in a couple of derry turns there. That, of course, is a fainting, a famous fighter maneuver put together by the famous John Derry, where you feint to go left, but it's in a roll, but you're actually going to turn right, or vice versa. See all the swath coming off the top of the wings there. We're in a very humid atmosphere, and that is the air condensing as he's pulling high G in this maximum rate turn. So the G really on all the time, all the way around this turn, and he's absolutely pushing the aerodynamic lift. Oh, fantastic photographer's moment there. This is a really, really good display. They're coming round for his finale now, which is something that I think you'd all love to. Have you been in the back seat during one of these practices?
Not during a practice, but I have had the privilege of having to go in the back seat of a normal sortie.
Yeah, it must have been fantastic. Well, I reckon he's going to go full throttle now, pointed at us, and then just reach for the sky, because we have clearances in place to enable turbo, just to set this jet on its tail and say farewell, airborne, see you tomorrow. And that
is the way to definitely leave an air show, and I think that's definitely the way to leave this lovely little stream. So, thank you so much for coming to join me. We've been here for about half an hour now. We've seen 4 beautiful aircraft. I think I might do it again tomorrow, depending on different things. The sun has slowly set. So, to recap, we have seen the Hawk Hurricane, the Meteor NF-11, the, I remember now, the Sea Vixen, the Sea Fire, and we have seen the Typhoon FGR4. So we've had a wonderful evening. I have, especially when we do this. Trying to start stuff again. I think watching React today really keeps me back into the spirit of wanting to do more virtual air festivals. And I hope we get the community built up. And yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you really did like this video. And this is Paul from Your Virtual Air Festival, signing off.